The one thing that is going to make you an expert dieter in the next 3 minutes is on this video. We've worked with thousands of clients over the course of the last 7 years, and you see the same traits with them every single time. But why do they never achieve it? Why? And some of it comes down to the lack of need for that goal, but what the biggest thing that comes down to most people when they come to Autonomy and they get in amazing shape is this one simple trick. And when I was in my 20s, I'd go through diets and I'd get to the weekend and be like, I'll just have this weekend and I'll get back on Monday. And the next weekend I'd do the same thing, or a social event came up and I just want to enjoy this one, and I'll just get back on it and get back on it and get back on it and get back on it. Now, it isn't the fact that you've gone to the social events that's the issue. The one big thing that you need to work on is urgency and setting a deadline. If you don't set a deadline for your fat loss, there will be less urgency, which means that when you come to these crossroads of events, things that you could give up, things that you could sacrifice, the things that you could go and enjoy yourself at, they become more of a decision-making process, which lead to better results. When you expand your time horizon and put the date and the deadline of your results, things in those time frames get more urgent and they get better. Because if you've got urgency to go and do your 10,000 steps, you'll go and make it happen if it means a lot to you. If you've got an event coming up, but you've got your date in 2 weeks' time, the way that you act at that event will be different than if you just didn't give a shit and you was like, oh, next week I'll get back on it. And the problem with humans is that without urgency, our brains use Parkinson's law all of the time. And you need to master Parkinson's law to be able to manage being a better dieter very, very quickly. If Parkinson's law is a task will take as long as you give it time for, and if that's an hour, then great, you'll do it in an hour. You know, when you had homework or there was an exam at university, the day before the exam, you'd be cramming in that exam, cramming in those mock papers and the research and the books. But 12 weeks beforehand, you wouldn't be doing that much because of the amount of urgency that is created as you get towards that deadline. And most people don't do much revision, they don't do much homework, they don't do any reading. And then 3 or 2 weeks before the exam, they're like, shit, I've got this exam in 2 weeks, let me do it all at this point. You've gave a task 2 weeks to cram in everything. Whereas if you give a task something that is 12 weeks or 16 weeks, you've given it a specific time frame, which ultimately then leads down to urgency. And you want to utilize Parkinson's law. It's another way to beat procrastination. If in your day and you've got 5 tasks to do, but you don't have a time on how long these should take, you'll probably end up procrastinating all day, and then between the hours of 4 and 8 or 10, you'll end up cramming in all those 5 tasks because you haven't gave it a time frame. If you want to master Parkinson's law, create urgency with your fat loss. The easiest way to do that is set a deadline for 12, 16 or 20 weeks, depending on how much you want to lose. Work it out like this. 1% of your body weight is a decent amount of fat loss to lose on a week-to-week basis consistently. So work out whatever 1% of your body weight is and then find out how much you want to lose, and that will give you how many weeks that you should be dieting for and how much urgency you should place on this. Urgency should be looked at as a thing of, oh, what if I don't do it? No, urgency is a thing of where if I set this date, I'm going to do everything I can beforehand to make it happen. And that's where you can become a better dieter overnight. Set that deadline, create urgency, and I guarantee when you come to those decisions in a social event, what you've got coming up this weekend, if you sat on your sofa at 9 p.m. at night but you haven't done your steps yet, it'll make you get up and do more stuff. It'll make you follow your diet better. It'll make you do more steps and be accurate with those elements. And then once you create that urgency, results get better, you can diet for longer, and then you have a deadline which then you go and hit and you achieve your tangible results. If you've loved this video, head over to Nathan.autonomy and come and join me on my Instagram, where we display the results that we get with people just like you, more educational information and more about how we help people get in amazing shape and stay in shape forever.